Hello everyone, welcome to the Tea Crane. I'm Tyas Sosen and today I'm going to taste these 4 very interesting, very unique teas that I presented in my tea club. These are the teas of the tea club from last year's November and December joint edition. I combined 2 months in one to provide these 4 small batch, very rare, very unique teas that are not available elsewhere on the market. I got an exclusive opportunity here to introduce these teas to subscribers of my tea club, and there was only a very limited amount of these teas available, which means that other than the tea that I have presented and the few packets that I still have left on the homepage, there is no more of these teas left. So we'll have to look forward to the unique teas that this producer makes again next year. Now, I also want to introduce you to the tea club itself, because if you haven't subscribed yet, the link to the page with more information is in the description below, and this tea club allows you to receive unique teas like these that are not available elsewhere on the market, or tea combinations, sets of teas that allow you to learn something more about Japanese tea. And it is my wish to introduce Japanese tea as broadly, as widely as possible, and also introduce very rare and very unique teas that people really enjoy, that I really enjoy, and that I want to share with you. And through doing that, you subscribing to the tea club help me to support small artisan tea producers, and so we keep this cycle going. Small artisan tea producers can continue producing their tea, and we can continue consuming these very unique, very rare, very delicious teas, because delicious is what is the most important. And we have a variety of tea that we can enjoy. So today's tasting, I'm going to taste these 4 teas. I will briefly explain a little bit about them, and well, I hope you enjoy this video. So let's dive into it. All right, the first tea we'll dive into is this very unique, hand-picked, Japanese, lightly oxidized Baozhong. And it's very weird to say Baozhong, because Japan doesn't produce these lightly oxidized types of Baozhong teas. So what I would refer to it as is more a lightly oxidized kind of Oolong, or a slightly oxidized type of green tea. Japan produces a lot of green teas, and so letting those green teas oxidize a little bit before the manufacturing allows them to slightly wither and enhance their aroma. So that's definitely what has happened with this one. It's hand-picked. It's from the Takachiho cultivar, which is a local cultivar in the Miyazaki region where this tea was produced. It was produced by our magician tea manufacturer, Mr. Korogi. He always does a great job making these teas, and he enjoys experimenting with teas all year through. So he even freezes some of the leaf that he obtains in spring during the harvest, and then stores it in his freezer in order to be able to make tea during winter. So he just loves making tea all year through. So how I like to enjoy this tea is in a smaller batch. Usually I would measure around 200 milliliters of water, which means I use a larger kyusu. This kyusu that I'm using is about 120 milliliters. I'm going to warm this kyusu and throw the water out, so that by warming the kyusu, I can later insert the leaf and get the aroma. So I've warmed this teapot, the water is out, and now I'm going to insert this leaf into the teapot so that the leaf again can start warming up a little bit as well. And as I allow the leaf to start to warm up, it will express its aromas much better. And you get a much more prominent experience of its very citrus-like, very fragrant, floral notes. Right, the next thing to do is to brew the tea. And so as I was saying, I'm using a small kyusu because I like to enjoy these teas in smaller portions, smaller numbers. So 120 milliliter size, that should be enough for 3 to 4 grams of tea. And also because I like to extract the aromas mostly, I tend to use shorter infusion times, 20 to 40 seconds. So I already have to get this tea out. I use hot water of about 90, 98 degrees, just right off the boil. Not absolutely boiling, but just right off the boil. Again, savoring the aroma. It's a very citrusy, very floral, very well lightly oxidized oolong kind of tea. And it's very nice. I really enjoy this tea. It's very soft, very gentle. It's a good, really good tea, and it's really extraordinary. Also because it's hand-picked. All the leaf obtained for this tea, they're the most gentle, the most subtle, the best leaves suitable for this kind of tea. So a lot of care has gone into this tea, and you can taste that in the flavor as well. Not only the flavor, also the aroma, especially because it keeps lingering for quite a while. There's a little bit of acidity in there as well, which makes it nice and gives it that refreshing feeling. Overall, a well-balanced tea with a good body. I really appreciate this one. Okay, so second brew. I'm not going to go through all the different steepings. I'll just do the second brew for this one. But basically, all these teas, they can be brewed for several times. This one keeps on going for quite an extensive period of time as well. I think you could easily get 5 to 6 if you're really into it. Get close to 10 brews out of it. Just keep pouring hot water on, and I suggest just to keep the same amount and measurements. So you're using the same leaf in the same teapot anyways. Just continue with hot water right off the boil, 20 to 40 second steepings, and that should give you a long pleasure of this same leaf. You'll see the color change slightly, the aroma will change slightly over the first, second, third brews. Also the leaf will gradually unfurl more. Let me show you that. In the leaf here, if you can see it, it's very green, but you see that around the edges there's some brownishness remaining. That brownishness, that comes from the oxidation, the withering stage, so slightly withering the leaf so that only the edges turn brown. You can see that here very clearly, and the center of the leaf is very green still. So that also makes that you get the good traits of both light withering, oxidation, oolong, these enhanced aromatic traits, with the freshness of green tea at the same time. So it makes a very interesting tea, and you don't often encounter teas like these in Japan. You can find them elsewhere, but in Japan these are definitely a rarity. So the tea hasn't changed much in flavor and aroma profile. It might have intensified a little bit. You can see that the color has gone slightly darker as well. So it's a slightly darker color as opposed to the first brew. So it usually happens, the first brew, the leaf is still slightly hard and cold, and it needs a bit of time to unfurl. But from the second brew on, even with the same infusion time, the leaf is already open and soft. So the moment the hot water hits the leaf, it just continues to unfurl, whereas that motion would have taken a little bit of time with the first brew. And so first brew always comes out a little bit less dense. All right, ready for the second tea. This one is a Darjeeling first flush Yabukita Wakōcha. It's definitely not Darjeeling. It is first flush, and it is from the Yabukita cultivar. Usually the Yabukita cultivar is seen as a generic cultivar that is suitable to many different weather conditions. It's an average cultivar, so it's not very good, it's also not very bad. It's just, it creates average tea. So to someone like me who is very interested and very much likes the different aromas and different tastes, this Yabukita cultivar is not very interesting. So I don't often tend to look for Yabukita types. But this one, the producer himself actually, he also doesn't like Yabukita. And so for him, the challenge here is to look for methods to work with the Yabukita cultivar and make something completely unique, something completely delicious. So Darjeeling, in a way that this tea is very lightly oxidized. There are a lot of tiny buds in here. This is actually what came out underneath the filter. And so the light oxidation of this tea is said where it resembles the Darjeeling Darjeeling first flush kinds of teas. So it's in the style of, but it's definitely not an imitation of. And that's what I feel is difficult with these namings, because with the Baozhong, with the Darjeeling, you give it a name and then of course you refer to what you know about that specific type, whereas it is not that type. So you actually shouldn't be giving it that name, although it's in reference of. So how we should approach these teas is not as if they were an imitation of the, in this case the Darjeeling, in the previous case the Baozhong, but they are a unique kind of tea within their own specifications that share some traits with that specific kind that we're referring to. So in similarity to what we did earlier, this time also because the tea is quite minute, I'm using a teapot with a strainer. I'm also taking a larger amount of tea. I prefer to enjoy these teas in a slightly larger amount, so you get to enjoy more. This one is 4 to 5 grams for a 200 milliliter kyusu. And again, I'm going to take a short infusion time with right off the boil hot water. First, I'm going to insert the tea leaf in my warmed up kyusu. This will allow me to also savor some more of the aromas of the dry leaf, which I always like to do. Very earthy, a lot of green notes, greenness in say like a green tomato. There's a little bit of musk in there. Some acidity, some sourness. Very interesting. Looking very much forward to tasting. So I'm going to brew this tea for 40 seconds to a minute. You could do it shorter, like with the lightly oxidized type that we just had, but let's say around 40 seconds should be good to let this tea come out. Also because it's quite fragmented, so the parts are quite minute, which means that there are more parts that are going to give off flavor immediately. And so it will also get a much more intense flavor anyways. So wow. Some sourness, some greenness, still that green tomato lingering in there. I can show you the leaf. I hope you can see it very well. You see the mixture of greens and the mixture of browns, everything through each other. And then also have a look at this beautiful color, very beautiful amber color. Oh, wow. That is a paradise. So sweet, so creamy, so juicy. So much aroma. Like very sweet. Very gentle, like almost velvet coming over the tongue. This is an amazing tea. Well, the first and the biggest surprise is this Yabukita. This is nothing like Yabukita that I know. It's so sweet. It's sweet, it's floral, it's got a good balance of acidity in there. And the freshness of green tea, it flows through the mouth like a breeze. Very delicious tea. Also, this one continues for several brews. It's got a very strong hint of straw. Very strong hint of straw, dried straw. You know that straw can have that sweetness as well. So I get that sweetness, that straw aroma, that very fresh, very very gentle, almost warming. Overall, a great tea. Savor it, and definitely go through, well, more than 3 brews, 3 to 5 brews, I think, easily. So, great tea. So the next tea, I know that I've written on the pamphlet, 200 milliliters, 3 to 4 grams. But as a single person, getting through different steepings of the same tea, 200 milliliters, say that you drink 5 brews of that leaf, then that means that 200 milliliters times 5, you're drinking a whole liter of that tea. It's a bit much. It's good to share, but I prefer, if I'm drinking it myself, just to focus on getting through more steepings instead of a larger amount of the same steeping at once. So for this tea, I decided to reduce the amount of leaf to 2 to 3 grams for this 120 milliliter teapot. So I'm also warming up the teapot. And then I will insert the leaf so that again also it can warm up in the teapot, and that we can enjoy the aroma of the tea. So the tea that we're having is also from our magician tea farmer Korogi, his roasted oolong. And this roasted oolong, this year's roasted oolong, is from the Sayamamidori cultivar. So it's an oolong that's produced from a green tea bush that was developed in Kyoto actually, but it's now growing at his gardens in Kyushu, in Miyazaki Prefecture, higher up in the mountains, central in Kyushu. So very interesting to see that he's working with this cultivar, but nonetheless just savoring this aroma of the roasted oolong. You get these floral notes from an oolong, but you get that intense aroma. Very much like chocolate. Yeah, it's very chocolatey actually. You get some cranberries, some red, some blue fruit. Yeah, very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to tasting. So for this tea also, right off the boil, 98-degree hot water, and steeping between 20 to 40 seconds. Around 40 seconds should be good, similar as the tea before. I like to work with shorter infusion times because then, especially working with hot water, aroma, flavor releases more quickly. And it's enough to just get a decent aroma without having any too many different flavors or too much intensity in the tea. So, and it also helps you to continue steeping the tea for several brews. Wow. So you weren't expecting that, eh? Oh, so toasty. So intense, so much like bread. Have a look at this color. So you see the reds, you see the greens. And also have a look at the color of the liquor. Brownish red, very beautiful, very transparent. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this tea is going to taste like. What a kicker! Slightly intense. A little bit of astringency around the back teeth, the back of the cheeks. A little bit of astringency on the tip of the tongue and also in the top of the mouth. But other than that, the aroma is amazing. It's flowers. It's bread, it's chocolate, it's fruit, it's everything. Well, for me, it's not the first time having this tea. So I know it, and I've gone through 10 steepings of the same leaf, and it keeps very strong. Wow. Well, this deserves a second brew. Also, pick your teapots wisely. If you don't mind getting a little bit of debris in your liquor, working with something like this is certainly fine, but these are not as suitable for that. So, right, I'm going to enjoy the second brew. See you for the next one. All right, one more tea to go. This one is from the Yamanami cultivar, and it's an aged black tea. It's a black tea produced from this Yamanami cultivar, and it was produced in 2018, so that means it's been aged for 2 years, and you get that from the scent as well. If you look at the leaf, it's dark, it's large, so it didn't say it was handpicked, but I assume it's handpicked, or it's either a late spring harvest with some larger leaves, larger, coarser leaves. It looks very good, and it's a very good tea as well. Right, time to warm up the teapot. So for this one, I'm using a 200 milliliter sized gyusu, and I'm using 4 to 5 grams of leaf. I like this tea, so I don't mind drinking a little bit more of it. And I've also chosen this beautifully red and black gyusu because it's a black tea. I thought that was suitable. All right, first the tea leaf in. Let it warm up a little so you can get the aroma. What I'm doing here, after I've heated up the gyusu with the hot water, I'm just processing it through my pitcher and my teacup, just so that I can clean these out as well, so that no aroma from the previous tea remains or that any dust is cleared out. All right, let's see what we got. Whew. Chocolate, bread. Lots of bread, but very sweet. Very bread, pastry-like almost. Some dark chocolate, dark chocolate in there. Maybe some red fruit. At least there's some acidity in there, so I think we could call that a very well-baked pastry with chocolate and red fruit. And we've got a little bit of mold in there as well, not in the tea visibly, but the scent. And opposed to the other types of teas, for this one I've chosen to go with a longer infusion time, although I'm still using the same temperature of water. I'm going to give this 90 seconds, a little bit longer. Of course, I'm not going to have you sit all the way through the waiting process, so I cut that. And here we go. Still get that very strong sweetness, that bread-like aroma. But now there's also a little bit more outspoken acidity, a little bit more sourness. And like the scent of an old house, like that. Like moldiness. I don't think it's molded like per se, but you get that with aged teas that have settled down a little bit. And then also look at this this beautiful color, transparent red, very beautiful tea. All right, let's see what it says. Wow, this is so full. so full-bodied, and you really get those bread-like notes through it. Very strong bread-like notes, good sweetness, not too much of the acidity, no bitterness, no astringency at all. It's a very gentle, very well-structured tea. I do get some herbs in there, a bit spiciness. Very interesting, very good tea. So I'm sure you will enjoy this one as well. This was the aged Yamanami black tea from 2018. With this tea we've come to the fourth of this tea club's tasting. Yeah, all very great teas. I'm very happy that I've been able to share these with you. And I assume that if you've watched this far through the video, that you are subscribed to my channel and that you are subscribed to the tea club. But if you aren't, subscribe to the channel now by clicking subscribe down there. Also click the bell so that you get notified of new video updates. And if you haven't subscribed to the tea club yet, check out the link in the description below so that you can get your subscription going and also receive these delicious teas delivered to you each month. So thank you for watching. I'm really happy that I'm able to share all of this with you, and I will continue on doing so. So look forward to seeing you in the future.